Hi, my name is Ciara and I'm here to talk to you about the children in our communities, especially in poor urban cities. All over America, in cities like Philly, New York, and even in Baltimore, there are young, impressionable children left without any guidance. We were all once those kids trying to stay on the right path, but not all of us were so lucky. I believe one of our biggest problems in society today is keeping young children in school and out of trouble, especially in places like Baltimore. They struggle with gang violence and broken homes. We need to keep these kids off the street, and it is vital to keep them engaged in activities after school. It is something done in many areas, but we need to make it more effective. We need to make sure it creates a lasting impact, and then we need to have these programs be very successful. It is fundamental to create a creative learning environment which correlates to school days. It's a motivation factor to go to school and actively learn, and these programs can help lead to better commitment to schoolwork and other activities. As I said, we want to keep them off the street and reduce their risky behaviors. After-school programs are a crucial aspect to keeping kids off the street. In the hours between 3 and 6 are the highest times for kids to get involved with juvenile crime and victimization. If the children have somewhere to go after school, they'll more likely be able to avoid getting in trouble. These after-school programs became a safe haven for many, an opportunity for students to avoid succumbing to negative peer pressure. Over 15.1 million kids, when they come home from school, between that time and when their parents come home from work, are alone. They're more likely to be getting into trouble, and that's where after-school programs are so vital. It's an opportunity where kids can learn skills applicable to life and work, and it provides outlets for creative thinking, problem solving, and communicating with others. These skills become motivational factors for staying in school and hoping to go on to further education. It all stems from a sense of belonging and drive that comes from good after-school programs. I've worked in camps for years, and I've come across a lot of kids, and I really feel like it's evident the impact that it can have on little kids that are so impressionable. I had a camper named Joe who was seen as a troublemaker in school and often acted out. I later found out his dad was in and out of prison, and his home life wasn't so great. He started to come to camp and find friends and activities that fit him. He found friends that didn't make him feel alone, and counselors that believed in him and he trusted. He started to have a sense of belonging, and it all started from having some place to go after school. I felt that camp was an outlet for him. He was able to do fun activities with friends that could help guide him and put him on the right path. He started to learn that he didn't have to act out to get attention, but when given people that care about him and cared about his future, he was able to flourish into the person he was really supposed to be. It is not uncommon for kids to not have the same opportunity that Joe had, but are left to find their own way, which is very difficult for young kids. Having role models is crucial for the development of kids, especially in inner cities where the absence of role models is a commonality. Developing opportunities for these young kids starts with their own desire to succeed. By providing outlets for them to grow and develop their skills in many aspects can enhance their view on their learning experience. That is why after-school programs are so crucial to keeping kids continually progressing to their potential. It prevents them from getting involved in dangerous situations, lonely situations, and provides new opportunities to grow. Think of all the kids that are so limited all over America. Think of Joe and think of yourself as a young child. We are all once impressionable kids, but most of us had someone to look to for guidance. This is not the case for many inner city kids that have to deal with crime and tough upbringings. It helped me create a safe learning environment and a place to go for all those kids hoping to follow their dreams. Help create for tomorrow's future. Thank you for your time.
Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm here to talk to you about poverty and education in the Marshall Islands. So imagine that you are living in a country where a typical house is a cardboard box and maybe a hole in the ground as a bathroom. Now imagine that you have to go to school also in those conditions, right? And there's no wonder that all the kids in the Marshall Islands are completely unmotivated to go to school, completely unmotivated to attend high school, graduate, let alone think about college at all. So, the Republic of the Marshall Islands is an independent country, and the way the government is set up right now, it's not working, and most of the country is in poverty, well below the poverty line, way worse than a lot of countries. It's been compared to the type of poverty you might see in Uganda. So the life expectancy is super low right now, and the infant mortality rate is well over 4% compared to less than 1% in the United States. So obviously we have a problem. Yet one of the biggest problems that I see in the Marshall Islands today is a lack of education. I think that if these kids are more motivated to go to school, to get an education, we're more likely to get out of this cycle of poverty and education. Now, what do I mean by a cycle of poverty and education? So these kids, they start out at school, sure, but they drop out by middle school, and then they get married, have kids, contribute to this increasing population density that we have in the Marshall Islands, and then they contribute further to this poverty. They end up in low-paying jobs. They end up with more kids than they can handle, and they end up living in the poverty that they grew up in. So the issue that needs to be solved here is the education system. So growing up in the Marshall Islands, I've seen firsthand what this poverty is like. You know, I've been over to Ebi, which is one of the most densely populated areas in the world. They have over 12,000 people living on less than a fourth of a square mile. It's this tiny little island, and there are thousands and thousands of people living on it. And when I go over there, I see people sitting on the streets in piles of filth, and I see people like hanging out in their cardboard box houses. They don't have clean water. They feed their children iced tea because it's cleaner than the water. So this isn't an entirely new problem. The United States has seen that this is a problem, and they've tried to fix it, but their solutions aren't working. What they do is they send 5 children from the outer Marshall Islands each year to the military base that's in the Marshall Islands where I grew up, and those 5 children get to go to school with all of us Americans, and we're always welcoming, like we love our Marshallese friends. I have one of my really good friends is Marshallese who grew up on that population dense island called Ebi. And she's a great friend of mine. We're always welcoming of them. It's just that when they go home, their parents don't care that they're, trying to get a good education, and nobody motivates them to continue with their education. So they drop out. Even those 5 kids that come over each year to go to school with us, they drop out. A lot of the girls end up pregnant. A lot of the guys end up in jail. Or, it's just they have no motivation to do anything with their lives. So what we need to change here is we need to get these kids motivated to stay in school. Particularly if we can get even those 5 kids a year to stay in school and stay motivated, we can really help out the Marshall Islands. We can get them out of this endless poverty cycle, and as soon as we can start with just those 5 kids, we can branch out and we can reach more kids. We can get more kids motivated, more kids educated, and we can end this cycle of poverty. Thank you.